Welcome, everybody, to the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast. My name is Nicole Greer. They call me the Vibrant Coach, and I am here with another amazing guest. His name is Jonathan Ribskis. I am so excited to have him on here today. He is the Development of Talent Optimization for Builtech. At Builtech Services, he's the Director of Talent Optimization. Jonathan oversees all aspects of talent, vision, and strategy, management of people operations, including hiring, assembling teams, facilitating training, mentorship, promoting effective leadership, engagement, fostering career development, and spearheading the safety program. It's a miracle he's sitting upright. Jonathan has been an integral part of Builtech's team since 2007, and I love hearing this. He was on a career path. Somebody saw talent and developed this guy, got him where he is. Throughout his career in the construction industry, Jonathan has developed into a seasoned manager and leader. His journey within the company has seen him excel in various roles, including superintendent, estimator, project manager, and talent optimization. Jonathan's knowledge and expertise as a construction professional make him the most recent role in talent optimization a perfect fit. Jonathan's exceptional leadership abilities and strategic vision continue to drive the success of Builtech, ensuring the cultivation of top talent and the execution of outstanding projects. So I am so excited to have Jonathan on the show. Dude, how are you?
Good to see you, Nicole. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, yeah. So you got to know that Jonathan and I were in class together at UNC Charlotte, and he was going through one of the programs. What certificate was it? Was it the HR or was it the Learning and Development certificate? HR. Okay. Yeah. So Jonathan is one of my favorite things. He's a lifelong learner, and you heard from his bio that he lives, eats, and breathes development. So I'm so glad he's here. So your title of Director of Talent Optimization, first of all, love this title. Write that down, everybody. Director of Talent Optimization instead of Human Resources. That's a very intentional choice. What does talent optimization mean to you, and why does that language matter?
Yeah. So for me, talent optimization, it's really aligning people's strategy with business strategy. And you're leaning on the people's strengths and knowing what they're good at, what they excel at. So you lean into those areas, you align them with what the business is trying to do, and you just see awesome results.
Yeah. And I have this little diagram, Jonathan. It's like got this box and it says, like human, and it says like talent, strengths, values, core values, all the things inside of a human. And then it says, has an arrow and it says getting stuff done, right? It's because you can only do it through the people. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
right. Yeah. So when you think about that, how does that shift change the way leaders think about people at Builtech?
Yeah. So for us, then I have a similar mindset as you, Nicole. It's like, it's easy to just say we have people or we have humans or we have resources, but it's like, let's look at the person, the individual. We're a mid-sized company, so we're able to do that, which is awesome. And we can really, to the best of our abilities, tailor career paths to people at Builtech to get them to do what they want and give them that journey.
Yeah, that's so good. And here's the thing. I talk to leaders all the time, Jonathan, and it's like every human that we're sitting in front of, like even Jonathan sitting in front of Nicole, I'm sitting in front of Jonathan, we are packed with potential that is unrealized. And we need somebody to help us get it out of us. I bet at your company, people say, oh, I don't think I can do that. Do they ever do that to you?
Oh, for sure. And then all of a sudden after they do it, they're like, I'd like to do it again.
I mean, so it's like, people get in their own way. And so we have to help them. And you need a director of talent optimization inside your company. Okay. So you have spent nearly 2 decades, but if you are watching on YouTube, you're like, no, he's in high school. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know. You look young. So you've spent nearly 2 decades at Builtech and have held roles from superintendent to project manager to talent optimization. So don't miss that trajectory. There's somebody in your company that can do that too. How has working in the business made you a better people leader?
Yeah, so it is really interesting, Nicole. When I took this role about 6 years ago, I didn't even realize that like my experience having worked in the field and in the operation side of our business would help me so much. But the ability to talk to a new employee or talk to a new hire and understand what they're dealing with on our project sites in the field just makes it a lot more relatable. It's not like we have some person that we brought in to sit in this seat that doesn't know the business. Like I lived in that part of the business for so many years. So that's been a really cool perspective and hopefully helpful for my teammates where it's like, I understand their day to day, not the level they're at, but I have an idea of what they're dealing with.
That's right. That's right. And construction is no joke. I mean, talk about, I mean, so many things affect it. You've got your talent pool. Are they going to show up? Are your vendors going to show up today? Is it going to rain today? Is the neighbor next door going to complain about the noise today? I mean, like all the things that go on in construction, right? And so it helps you, as they say, put yourself in somebody else's shoes, right? As you're
Definitely.
moving
Or
through
in our case, boots, Nicole. Boots.
That's right. Steel toed, everybody. Okay.
Very good.
Yes. Okay, so I'm curious, what lessons from the field did you learn that still influence your leadership today? Give us a war story or a success or something that you've done.
Yeah, I wouldn't point to a specific story, but rather just like over a period of time being on job sites. And that was just the recognition of different people are going to need to be communicated with differently. So
Mm,
recognizing like you might have someone who's more sociable and wants to engage and connect about your weekend and what you're doing outside of work. But then you might walk down the hallway and deal with another contractor who's just like, I'm here, I'm doing the job. Where do you need me next? Kind of all business. So realizing like when you're on a job site with 20 or 50 or 100 different subcontractors, you really need to try to, get to know those leaders and understand like, all right, if I communicate with them this way, that's going to build a good relationship.
that's right. That's right. And so just a little side note on that. Jonathan uses different instruments inside of his talent optimization. And you all know that I have all sorts of different assessments that I use. But if you've never thought about bringing in a personality profile or a tool to use to help you understand people better, what Jonathan is talking about is for real, right? So meeting people where they are, and there's that golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But there's a platinum rule, do unto others as they would like to be done unto. And so that's what Jonathan is talking about. So if you've got a all facts, get stuff done guy, no small talk. You got the small talk guy, slow down, have a little small talk, right? Makes everybody happy. All right, so I love that lesson. Communication is key. So Built Tech talks about building relationships based on trust. And hey, everybody, I'd love for you to go over to their website. So is it builttech.com? I was cruising all over it. Do I have it right?
BuiltechLLC.com.
Okay, builttechllc.com. Everybody go over there. Look at the career page. It is very, 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 very good. It's one that you need to look at how it's formatted and laid out and things that Jonathan's got cooking over there. It's really good. And Jonathan, there's a lot of bad career pages out there. I just want to say. Okay. So please go follow Jonathan's example. Okay. So Built Talk talks about building relationships based on trust. How do you all inside your organization intentionally build trust inside the organization before you ever expect high performance?
So the two words that come to mind for me here are transparency and communication. So
Mhm.
when I say we as leaders of the organization, do our best to be as transparent as possible with our team members. So sharing as much information as we can, giving updates on the business. It's important that we're giving regular readouts in terms of what's sales, what's revenue, what are we chasing, what's the health of the business. I think that buys in a lot of just trust from our team members when they know like, all right, I can get access to the CFO, I can get access to the CRO, and they're able to share these, data points with me so I can feel good knowing that like, I'm not just going to finish my job and then be unemployed, but here's what's in 6 months. Here's what's in 12 months. Here's the company's goal for 5 years from now. And I think just, broadcasting those and making them public has been very helpful for us.
Yeah, and what you're talking about there, I don't know if you guys call it this, but there's this concept in business called open book management, which basically is like you can look at the profit and loss statement if you'd like, right? Here's our revenue numbers, here's how we're doing on expenses. And really what that does for employees, I think it gives them a sense of ownership. What do you think about that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And we hold our project teams accountable for their specific projects, specifically our project managers who are the financial stewards of their jobs. And we teach them the concept of, really managing every dollar spent on your project, recognizing that if you perform well on your job, this is how it feeds into the overall company. And then company does well. Well, guess what? You're going to enjoy the benefits of that as well.
Yeah. So you all have bonus on these kind of things or make sure that people share in the profits.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. And, companies that I've worked with, I'll go in sometimes, Jonathan, and I'll do, strategic planning with people and I'll find out that they don't do open book management. And a lot of people are like, we just can't tell people how much money we make. It's almost like they're embarrassed by it or something.
Sure.
But the thing is if your people understand how the business works, they make better decisions in the field. They have this thing called fiduciary ownership and fiduciary responsibility. Do you find that that's the case with your folks, that they make better decisions because they understand what the heck's going on in the business?
So we use this concept called power of the penny, which is really
Oh,
what, like I mentioned earlier, like just understanding all your decisions at the project level and the impact that they have.
yeah.
And you got to continue to broadcast. All right. You hire new people. They might have come from a culture where they got to just spend freely or they didn't have checks and balances. But the reality is we've always just been very, cautious, but I think also responsible with our financials. So yeah, that's a big message that we convey to folks is like, hey, we're only 125 employees. We're not this behemoth, gazillion-dollar organization. Like we got to be smart here.
That's right. That's right. And I think that, people, you said this a little bit earlier, it's like people like know they're going to get a paycheck on Friday. We're doing okay. And
Right.
so they're not out looking for another job, right? They think, oh,
Yeah.
I'm safe, I'm secure, and I'm in a good place.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's so good. Okay. All right. Let's see here. So what's one thing that you think leaders do unintentionally that erodes trust? Because really, if you go to their website, the trust is a big, big core value for them.
Yeah. So it goes back to communication, right? The transparency piece. I think also changing direction or changing their minds often can be very disruptive. So
Yes.
we've embraced the flywheel concept from Jim Collins' work back in the, I think it was 80s and 90s when he did his study for Good to Great. And
Yeah.
that's really resonated with us because we're like, we know what we're good at. We just want to do more of that. We're not going to like adventure off and, the CFO has a crazy idea over the weekend. It comes back and says, we're going to go do something totally different. We're going to keep doing what we do. So I think that again builds that trust, knowing like, if you ask anyone here what Builtech's going to build for the next 6 months or 2 years, they can tell you exactly what we're going to build. We're not going to go try to be adventurous and try new stuff. We're really good at what we do. Keep doing more.
Right. We're not going into the cotton candy business or something crazy, right? Okay. So many organizations focus on recruiting. You seem to focus equally on developing people after they're hired. So don't miss that, everybody. The employee life cycle. It's a thing. So what's your philosophy for helping employees see a career, not just a job? This is one of the greatest things I saw in your business when I was looking at it.
And there is a difference for sure.
100%.
And again, at our size, 125 people, we have the ability to still make this a thing, right? And to really make this practical. So for us, career advancement is a huge deal. We have an emerging leaders group. We have a next gen group. We have an internship program. We pour a lot of energy into the next generation, to our younger professionals. We want them to be around and succeed us one day. Your comment about me being in high school is hilarious, but the reality is,
How old are you, Jonathan?
we'll just say it starts with a 4. How's that?
Okay, all right, we'll deal with that. Which is still very young if you're my age. Go ahead.
But you have to look ahead in your 40s of like, all right, how much longer am I going to do this? And what's behind me, right? Can Builtech move on without me and the other leaders that are getting in the second half of their careers? So we've been very great in the sense that we don't have a timeline associated with folks here who want to advance. They come in, they kill it, they can move on to the next level. We're talking about, matter of 6 months, 8 months, a year. You don't have to wait for 3-4 years to get the next little bump. People are doing it here regularly, and we've developed
how exciting.
The leaders in their 20s and 30s here.
Oh, that's so fantastic. And don't miss how Jonathan is talking so nicely about the next generation. I got to tell you, Jonathan, everywhere I go, they're like, these young people, they're a problem. And I'm like, well, when you were 20, you were a problem too, because you didn't know anything and you had to be taught everything. So you can't be mad at people because they don't know. You have to, as Jonathan is doing, putting them into a program where they're developed, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So 100%. Okay. All right. So the construction. Oh, let me ask you this follow-up question. What conversation should every manager be having with their people? I'm a big believer in traction, the entrepreneurial operating system, and its philosophy of having a 5-5-5. And I love employee performance management where you are developing. So what should managers be talking to their people about? Because I'll tell them, John, I'm like, you need to talk to your people. They're like, what should I talk to them about? I'm like, there's 1,000 things.
Yeah. I mean, it's as simple as where do you want to take this thing? You've been with us a year, you're in an entry level position. What do you want to do next year? What's your aspirations?
Yeah.
And there's really 2 outcomes you get from that. You get someone who says like, I want to take your seat one day. I want to be on the executive team. Great.
Yes.
Let's figure that out. Can we work with that? We've also had a lot of valuable team members say, I'm good where I'm at. I don't want to be the VP of this or the director of that. I'm really good at this and I want to keep doing this. We need those people too. But again, we don't know that unless we as managers are asking them, what are your career aspirations? Does it need to
Absolutely.
keep going up and to the right? Or are you just like, hey, I'm good where I'm at. I'm locked in, keep me right here.
Yeah. And the thing about the folks that want to stay where they're at, I don't know what your experience with this is, but this is really important. Is you'll ask them one time, they're like, I'm good. But if you check in every 6 months, on the what do you want to do thing, or you give them, you're like, okay, I know you want to stay where you're at, but I want you to work on this project or this or do this particular thing. And like we said earlier, they try it and they're like, oh, that wasn't as awful as I thought it was going to be. Or actually, I'm really good at this, right? So sometimes you have to kind of, dare I say this, push people a little bit
Sure.
and then they can grow. So sometimes they're in their own way. What do you do? I call that group that wants to stay where they are steady eddies, and every company needs steady eddies. How do you expand their work, or how do you work with them so that they do bring more value year over year? Is there something that you all do with your steady eddies?
Yeah, steady eddies. We have several that I'm thinking of. I think it is, continuing to look for ways to expand their role. So fortunately,
Yeah.
we're a growing business. We're not going to be stagnant next year. There'll be new
Nope.
hires, there'll be new opportunities. So I do think as a manager, revisiting with that person, like, okay, you've mastered this, what else could we add into your mix just to keep that variety? Because I think people in general do appreciate variety and want a new challenge, even if they are in the steady Eddie role. So I think just revisiting that with them and see what else you could add to their plate or swap something out. Maybe they can delegate something that creates room for something new.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and the other thing too is I have a company I work with, Jonathan. It's called Bloom. It's over in Denver, North Carolina, and they have leadership development, but they call it leadership, or excuse me, expert and leadership training. So they call their steady eddies, like they turn them into experts. Like if you don't want to run a team, you don't want to be responsible for humans, then you have to own some kind of expertise inside this business. And boy, construction, there's a lot of room for expertise, isn't there?
Yeah, we have some of those as well. I'm just thinking last week, we were talking with a colleague and he's like, we've got this guy, he's like a little wizard. That's the way
Right. Yeah, that's right. The wizard.
he's so unique. Like we cannot lose this guy. Like he is special. Like
Right.
we have to get him a hat or a wand or something, but he's so good at what he does.
That's so good. Yeah. And I mean, and I think, I think back about when I was in the apartment business. I don't know if I shared that during class, but when I was in the apartment business, we had some maintenance guys. They never wanted to manage anybody. I don't want to manage people. I don't want to do that. I want to do my job and go hunt the deer and do the things and fish in the pond and do all the stuff. And I'm like, okay. But like, we would end up having, like, we're going to send you to HVAC class, like to all of them. And you're going to
Mhm.
become the wizard of HVAC or whatever. Right. And so when we have another property that has a problem, you'll go and you'll help them out because you'll know everything about freon and compressors or whatever. So I think that's a great way to, still grow and be able to and to be able to bonus and to pay them more because they do become more valuable, even though they're kind of sitting in the same seat. I think that's important. All right. So the construction industry is known for labor shortages and high turnover. And I know all of you listening are like, us too. But yet, Builtech has achieved unusually strong retention by investing in leadership development, individualized career paths, and understanding behavioral strengths. What do you believe keeps great people engaged? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I love the question because one of the things we are most proud of at Builtech is our unplanned attrition. So we've hovered around 5 or 6% unplanned attrition for the past at least 6 years since I stepped into this role,
Wow.
which is great because that's lower than the construction average by quite a bit, certainly
Yeah.
way lower than all construction if you look at tradesmen as well, in the field. So we keep a close eye on that. If people are leaving, having that conversation, why, how is the grass greener or perceived greener, right? We want to make sure we keep a close eye on that. So we're thrilled about that. The other thing we're proud of is best places to work. So as you're familiar with, Nicole, these surveys are important to us because they give us anonymous feedback from our people on how we're doing as an organization.
Right.
And, year after year, being able to rank on the best places to work list tells us like, all right, we're getting things mostly right, always room for adjustments, but understanding like as a whole, people are very content here. Obviously that ties directly to that unplanned attrition when you get a best places to work, because of course they make sense together.
That's right. Yeah. So how did you get that program started, or how did you all begin to pursue, we want to be a best place to work?
Yeah. So our owner, Chris, would just say, we like to keep score. We want to know how we're doing against similar sized, businesses in our markets. So we do it in our Chicago office, we do it in our Charlotte office, and it's important that we just know how we're stacking up against competition. Construction in of itself is competitive, but also marketplace wide, we want to know how Builtech's doing.
That's great. So how long have you been a best place to work?
So the Chicago office probably goes back, I want to say 7 years now. And then Charlotte, we've done it the past, this will be our 5th year.
Oh, that's so fantastic.
Mhm.
That's so fantastic. And it must be like dialed in at the leadership level.
Our leadership team is pretty unique in the sense that there's 10 of us in that group, and as a group, we've been together at least 7 years. So the shortest tenured person in that group is 7 years, and the longest myself at 19. So we've got some really good synergies because we know each other really well.
That's right. So we can finish each other's sentences, right? And know how the other person's going to think about a certain thing that just happened. We don't even have to check in. Isn't that great? Oh, love it. Love it. Okay, let's see here. You oversee hiring, leadership development, mentorship, engagement, career development, and safety. That's a bunch, everybody. How do all those pieces fit together into one talent strategy instead of becoming like separate HR initiatives? How do you keep all that together?
So we hate silos. We'll tell you that. That's the one thing we don't want to be. So we don't want safety to be here and operations to be here and career development to be there. We want it all to be looked at as Builtech. So that's the first thing. The other thing
Awesome.
is, we talked about the start, but like these all involve people, right? None of these programs exist without our awesome people. And a lot of them are in multiple areas. So you might be on the safety committee, but you're also in the mentorship program. And you might be in our emerging leaders group, but you're also in our wellness team. So like there's overlap between all these as well. So for us, we really just look at it as everything's flat. One group's not better than the other. One initiative's not better than the other. We try to just level the playing field internally as much as we can.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so tell me, you just threw out this wellness thing. So I'm so curious about that. I think a lot of organizations have a wellness program, a wellness committee, but like it's not very alive. It doesn't have any juice in it. Can you share with us kind of what you're doing with that?
Yeah, so we've got a group that's set up different events for, again, the two offices, Charlotte and Chicago. And we've done things like, the traditional, you do a 5K walk or run. We do a step challenge every year that gets a ton of chatter going on internally
Yeah.
because we have awesome prizes at the end of it. And for 30 days, we track steps competitively on an app. That's awesome.
Uh-huh.
We did a sound bathing thing last year. Never done that before. Brought someone in, like
With their
almost,
singing bowls and everything?
you got the bulls.
Oh, that's so fantastic.
We're like, bring your pillow in, and at 3:30 on Thursday, he's coming in. So, try
I love
different
it.
things too, just to see what sticks. We've also done we've brought in someone to do some cooking, healthy eating type, tips and tricks and meal prep. So we're trying different things there, but that's another example of like engaging our newer team members, the younger generation, mixed with some of our more senior folks. You get some really cool ideas.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I absolutely love it. Okay. All right. So you use behavioral insights to better understand people and how they communicate and work together, which I'm a big believer in. And without giving away your secret sauce, how has understanding behavioral styles changed the ways your teams collaborate? So that was what we were talking about a little bit earlier about personality, talking to the different contractors different ways.
Yeah, so the tool we use is the Predictive Index. They're based out of Boston. They've been around for 72 years now, I believe. So their assessment is proven, and it's short, which is why we like it. It takes 6 minutes for someone to complete. So very, very quick. And then we get these really, really robust results out of it. There are really two things that have been super helpful for us that they provide is behavioral reports, which is what we talked about earlier. You get this very, very deep insight into like, all right, here's the person that you're going to work with. Here's what you can expect: strengths, challenge areas, behavioral tendencies, all these things that aren't obvious when you just shake hands and meet someone for the first time. The other thing we're able to utilize with them is relationship guides. So we're able to take two employees, two team members at Builtech, pair them together, and we get a nice little concise readout that says, again, here's what to expect when these two folks work together. Here's where you might see some friction points, and here's some ways to kind of like work around that friction.
Yeah. And like, don't miss, new construction project. We're going to have a new GC, or what do you call it? The superintendent of the
Superintendents.
superintendent. And he's going to have a project manager. And then he's going to have this right-hand man that's going to be on cleanup or whatever. And he can sit down and he can like kind of coach all of them about this is how y'all need to treat each other so that you don't have any conflict. And the thing about conflict, Jonathan, I get asked all the time, can you do conflict management? Can you teach conflict management? And I'm like, well, I can, but like, I'd really like to just stop the conflict altogether. Like, let's get to the root cause. And what we're talking about right there is getting to the root cause. People, everybody write this down. Ready? Everybody ready? People are different. They're not like you. There's the answer to conflict management right there. So, and if you can understand it and you have a tool, it helps.
Yeah, definitely. Why not provide some guidelines, some direction, some insights, right? Like why not? It's only going to help that relationship.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Okay. So every leader, I hope, wants a vibrant culture, a high performing culture. And in your experience, what are the everyday, everybody get your pens ready, pens at the ready. What what are the everyday behaviors that we can ask people to do that would actually create a vibrant culture? Because I think you guys actually have one over at your place.
I think we need to. Yeah, it's a great place to work.
Yeah, don't miss that. That's how you know people make statements like that.
Yeah, and I mean, literally, not just because of the ranking or whatever. Like, it really is a great place to work. So,
Right. And how long did you say you've been there?
yeah, it's a while. It'll be 19 years this summer for me. So,
Okay. So he did start there when he was 12. So don't miss
yes,
that, everybody. And he's not left. He's not jumped around. He's not had to go somewhere else. Sounds like you've got good leadership, good philosophy over there.
yeah, it's great when you can do it all at the same place. So, yeah, a couple of things behavioral wise that internally create that vibrant culture. So, I think the first that comes to mind is being available to help people, especially if you're in a management role. Not
Yes.
having your door shut, not being out of office, not being on Teams calls all day, but being available for your people. And it's as little as walking around and how was your weekend? And hey, I like that shirt you're wearing. It's honestly the littlest things like that. It just starts there. So I think
I agree.
being available, being looking for those common connection points too with your team is super important. The other thing I tell our young professionals is I was like, just say yes a lot and almost as much as you can. So when someone gives you a new assignment or a new challenge, just keep saying yes. Like good things happen to you if you keep taking on new things.
That's
So if you
right.
say, oh, I'm too busy or I don't know if I can work the extra hour, just say yes. Like just keep saying yes. So I think that has helped us as well. And then the other thing, is, team events and outings, right? So it's baseball games and it's barbecues. It's, all you can eat sushi for lunch. It's all these things you
Oh,
do.
what day is that? I need to put it on my
We
calendar.
did it last month or so. It was phenomenal. It was great.
I bet. Oh,
But
that's
all those little things, you break bread together, you get to know each other, they feel like they're taken care of by the organization, they get a free lunch or an outing, whatever it is. That stuff matters. It really does. And we try to include families with some of those events as well. So if we're doing a company-wide baseball game or tailgate, we're inviting spouses and kids. That's part of it for us.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, and people they do. They like to bring their family, show off their little bride and their kiddos and all the things. That's so good. Yeah. Okay. So if a CEO asked you, we want to build this vibrant culture, where should we start? What advice would you give to a VP, a CEO out there who's listening to this going, we don't do any of this stuff?
So in addition to being available, like I said earlier, I think you also, if you don't know what's going on inside your organization, you got to survey it somehow. And if you have the relationship with your managers to get that information, great. If you need to apply for best places to work to get it, do that too. Even if you get a terrible score, at least you've got some information then.
That's right.
Um,
Data.
yeah, you might think it's great, but the reality is, your folks aren't happy. So I think you need to ask around, you need to be curious, whether it's through your managers or through your employees directly, just to figure out if the reality that you think is happening is actually happening, or if it's not good. Well, all right, well, let's start working on making it better.
Yeah, that's so good. So Jonathan, a little while ago, mentioned a book called Good to Great. And so that's an oldie but a goodie. And some of the material in there, like it's outdated, and some of the companies that are in there are gone. But his concepts remain, I think, great concepts. And so he talked about the flywheel. There's another book that Jonathan has alluded to a couple of times that says this: how to be a 1 minute manager. Take 1 minute and manage by walking around. So manage by walking around. MBWA, I think is what that is called in the book. So get out of your chair and go out and see what's up with the people. First of all, people are delighted to see leaders roaming around, and they, usually they're just delighted to see you. All right, I love that. Okay, so looking ahead 5 years, how do you think talent optimization is changing? So, I'm in classes all the time with all these HR people teaching and doing, and so I'm always learning from them. They're teaching me, I'm teaching them. the world is changing. So what do you see out there? What will best organizations be doing differently than everyone else?
Yeah, I think it is using these tools like Predictive Index or others, these assessments that are giving you these insights.
Yeah.
What we see for PI specifically is, there's 17 potential different behavioral profile types. So like you said earlier, Nicole, like the likelihood that I'm the same as the person next to me, probably not.
Nope.
There's 16 other options. I should probably get to understand what those people look like. So I
Yes.
think, yeah, I think those are just going to be important, especially for growing organizations where you're adding people, you're growing new faces, new names, new teams. That newness is a huge risk factor if you don't know, well, the resume looks great and we hired them and they start. Okay, well, who's the person though? Like what can we expect them to be doing day to day on the job site in the office? So we do believe in these behavioral tools, whichever one you use. And I think they are going to continue to be helpful, especially for growing organizations.
Yeah. And listen, I have behavioral tools in my toolbox, people. Call me, call me. All right. So the other thing I think too about that is the predictive index also helps you figure out job fit. Right. So when Jonathan is hiring for a project manager, he's saying, this is what my best project managers do.
Yep.
Here's the 3 guys that didn't make it. And this is what they did, And so there is some science to it, because if you heard, he said that's very short to take and you get the results very quickly and it's robust. And you're thinking, well, how in the world is it, like a crystal ball or something? And the answer is, he said, there's 72 years. So these assessments have been around a long time. They're all built on research and data and tweaked and looked at. So I couldn't agree more with that. I think that's a fantastic, fantastic answer. Okay, so you spend your career helping people become their best. I do the same thing. Isn't it fun?
It is good.
It's so dang fun helping people develop, right? Right? Because when they do like get out of their own way, or they do get an opportunity and you connect the opportunity with the person and they kill it, it's just so fun to watch. It's like a good movie, right? So you spend your career helping people become their best. I'd love to end personally. What one piece of leadership advice that has shaped Jonathan? What shaped you to become the guy you are today?
So you've alluded to my development internally, and it does. I would title it back to our owner and founder Chris when I started with him again 19 years ago as a new buck out of school, and he had told me very early on, just like, as you get started in this industry, you need to develop your own style. So the people you're going to work with, you're going to find good attributes and not so good ones. Grab onto the good ones, ask them more about those, and that'll kind of then build your own style. So that stuck with me, and I'll still pass it along to interns and new hires now. It's like, as you're just getting started, grab the good attributes of all the people around you to kind of help mold your own style, because no one's got it perfect. So try to gather up the good stuff and, put your own spin on it.
So good. And y'all, there's this guy, his name's Jim Rohn, Rohn. Everybody go watch a video or get a book by Jim Rohn. He popped off the planet. He was on the planet like in the 70s and the 80s, but he used to say, Jonathan, you are the product of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So make sure you're hanging out with the right people at work. If the people you're hanging out with are complaining, not getting ahead, didn't get a raise, you got to pick new folks to hang out with. All right, so we're going to close it out with the lightning round. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Bring on the lightning, Nicole.
Okay, here we go. So what's one leadership book everyone should read?
I'm going to give you 3 because I couldn't think of one.
Okay.
So Unreasonable Hospitality, which came out a few years ago. Great book.
Good.
The Happiness Advantage by Sean Acor. That has been, super helpful for me. I've read it several times now. And then I'll put a fun one in there. Shoe Dog, which is the story of Phil Knight and the Nike story.
Oh yeah, so good. Okay, I haven't read that one yet, but I think that it's on the list. I have a very long list. You should see my office. It's just wall-to-wall books in here.
That's good.
But Sean Acor, if you're thinking, I don't read books. Okay, first of all, everybody, leaders read. But then Sean Acor has a TED Talk that you must watch. I insist you must watch. Okay. All right. What's one hiring mistake organizations make over and over?
Hiring on gut and nothing else.
Whoa. One interview question you always ask.
I like to ask people, what are they looking for culturally if they come to our company? Like, what are they expecting in their work environment with the people around them?
That's right, because we got to make sure it's a fit, right? What's one quality you can teach and one that you can't?
I can't teach passion. I can't teach tenaciousness. What we can teach specifically in our industry is how to build a building. I can teach a lot of people how to build a building, but if you're not passionate about it and you're not tenacious and you don't ask a bunch of questions, I'm going to have a hard time getting you to build that building quickly.
That's right. And correctly. Yeah. So good. Okay. Finish this sentence. A vibrant culture is.
I think it's one where team members are transparent with one another. They enjoy working with each other and they want to solve challenges together to help move the business forward. You want to be able to leave every day and be like, we worked on something, we fixed it, or we moved it forward, maybe even just an inch or a foot, but we're going to do it again tomorrow and just get that good feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah. All sorts of dopamine dripping through our bodies. Yeah. Okay. What's one habit every great leader practices consistently?
I mean, you said it a minute ago, be a reader. I said, be a reader, be a learner, continue education, conferences, all the things that are niche to what you're doing. You build the network, you build connections, but then, yeah, just reading. And I'm old school, Nicole, so I'm going to tell you to read a physical book in your hand and not.
Oh, I love it.
Like Kindle or a screen. I think there's something about having a highlighter out and being able to mark a book, circle something. There's something happens there that's really powerful.
I agree. Yeah. And I buy all the old books that are from the libraries off the Amazon, that are $2.98. So you could probably get the 1 Minute Manager, Good to Great, all the books that you mentioned just a minute ago. Yeah, get them, people. What's one thing you hope every employee feels when they leave work each day?
I think again, for us in construction, you want to feel like you move something forward. Sometimes it's super tangible because we're building buildings, right? You're like, all right, when I came to work, the roof on, awesome. I can show my kids this weekend when we drive past on the way to lunch, right? I think you just want to move things forward, especially you just like, man, not being stagnant and knowing like change is fun, moving things forward. This feels great.
Yeah. And I would just like tag on to the end there. We talked earlier about managers should be talking to their people. Like, what do you want to do with your career? But, the other thing too is like when people have little small wins and they get to tell their leader,
yep,
I got this done. And the leader is like, way to go. It just drives the whole thing. It's just so important. Oh my gosh. I have had such a great time having you in class, which I mean, you probably already knew everything I was talking about. But I'm so glad that you came to class at UNC Charlotte. I'm so glad that we got to know each other. Is there just maybe a final nugget? People are probably like, I like Jonathan, keep him talking. Is there one little thing you would leave us with before we go?
Oh, good question, man. Maybe just to highlight a few things I already said of just being curious and being tenacious, not being stagnant. And if you're at a workplace that doesn't allow that, maybe find somewhere else that does, because
that's right.
We don't have many years on this earth to be working. So you want to be doing something that's fun with people that are enjoyable to work together with.
Yeah. Go find you a vibrant culture to be part of. That's right.
It.
That's it. Okay. All right. That's been another episode of the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast. Jonathan, if people wanted to get a hold of you, give us your name, give us where you want us to find you. Probably on LinkedIn. Yes.
I'm a simple guy. LinkedIn is it. Yeah. Builtech LLC. We talked about earlier. Go check out our website, careers page. Definitely, if you're looking for a change or something, you want to chat about construction, we'd love to have a conversation, but yep, that's the way.
Okay, very good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go down, check the like button. It just takes a hot second, and leave a little love note for Jonathan and myself. We appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you next time on the Build a Vibrant Culture podcast.